Welcome to HQ Midday. I'm Tommy Tran with you on this Monday, a Monday in which the Patriots and Broncos are 9-2. We saw the regular season debut for Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, and Dan Campbell still loves going for it on fourth down. Didn't work out for the Lions on the road, the champs losing 16-9. Battle of NFC West powers went the Rams' way as they intercepted Sam Darnold 4 times at SoFi. And the Bills outlasted the Bucs in a high-scoring game that saw 9 lead changes and Josh Allen with 6 total touchdowns. Just one more game on the Week 11 slate. It's tonight in Sin City. Cowboys and Raiders, Dallas the road favorites as it tries to inch closer back to 500. Time to get ready for that Monday night game with our Monday staples on this midday. Lige Douzable and Rand Carthon. Guys, great to be with you once again. So the Cowboys are coming off a bye. Playoff chances are going to be pretty slim. Just from a coming off a bye perspective, Rand, I'm going to give you first word. They lost to the Cardinals in that Monday night affair. Do wins and losses matter in terms of coming back from byes, maybe entering it, but what about exiting it as you get ready for another NFL game?
Well, that's the beauty of our game is every week you have another opportunity to right your wrong, so to speak. And so I think coming off a bye, you have a team that's rested. You have a team that's chomping at the bit to get another opportunity to go out there and prove that what happened last week, if it was a loss, was a one-off. And so that's what you're going to see now with this Dallas Cowboys team. I'm pretty sure most of the guys were in Vegas last week anyway, so they'll be returning back to Vegas. But I think you're going to get a spirited and inspired team, especially coming off of the moves that they made during the bye week. This is going to be a spirited team that's ready to get out there and show the world who they are.
And an emotional team. Let's not forget, right before the bye, they lost a teammate. So they're going to want to play in his honor. They're going to go out there and put their best foot forward. And before getting into the game, this is a team whose defense has struggled mightily, right? You talked about the defensive additions, adding a guy like Logan Wilson, Quentin Williams. This should provide some juice. And not only that, Tommy, some of their own players are healthy now, and they're going to be getting them back. So they'll be spirited tonight.
So you guys brought up some of the additions that were made at the trade deadline, Rand. I remember vividly you talking about Jerry Jones just offering that glimmer of hope. But on the field, Lige, and I'll give you first word, what type of version of the defense will we see with these additions tonight?
Yeah, the interesting thing is when you get a guy like Quentin Williams, the defensive line coach, Aaron Whitecotton, he's familiar with him. That's who he was with the Jets when he was an all-pro player. So attacking style defense is what they want to do with Matt Eberflus and Aaron Whitecotton. And with a guy like Quentin Williams, he provides that interior pass rush. I've talked to multiple quarterbacks, Tommy and Rand. The one thing they really hate is that interior pass rush up the middle. They have not been able to provide that. Now with Quentin Williams, you actually have that. So maybe that will help some of the edge guys now who will get one-on-one opportunities. Logan Wilson has been one of the better coverage linebackers the last couple of years. Kind of got phased out in Cincinnati. But you see the numbers right there. They've been abysmal this year, giving up 30 points per game. You would hope that that will provide some spark. And then DeMarvion Overshown. Like, I didn't think this kid would be able to come back. It shows the fortitude and mental capacity he has to fight through adversity and get back. His athleticism will help. His speed will help this Dallas defense as well.
Yeah, and you talk about, and we saw it on the graphic, just how poor this defense has been, historically poor.
Yeah.
This defense has been. But again, when you add a guy like Quentin Williams to the interior of that defense, and you talked about the quickest way to the quarterback is up the gut, right? It's straight up the middle. And he's going to provide that, and he's going to be a disruptor. And you know, Lige, having played both inside and on the edge, when those guys inside are getting that rush and getting that quarterback off the spot, is going to push things to those edge guys. But then you also have Kenny Clark next to him. And so it's only so many hands that you could dedicate to those two guys interior wise, and that's going to open up for these edge guys to get these one-on-one matchups on the edge. And so I think this Dallas defense, as poor as they have been, I think we're going to, as the season ends, as we get close to the end of the season, we're going to look at the pre-trade defense and it'll be the post-trade defense. And I expect this post-trade defense to be much better.
Which would probably be bad news for the Vegas offense, which has had offensive line issues all season long. So if I'm asking you how Geno Smith and Ashton Jeanty can potentially exploit this defense, which again, to this point has been poor. Geno himself has been poor turning the ball over here. Just give me a recipe from a Vegas perspective.
Yeah, to that point, I think he's been top 3 at the quarterback position and turning the football over. They got to get Ashton Jeanty going. Yes, he has the touchdowns, but he doesn't have the yards per rush, right? And you talked about the offensive line. They lose their best offensive lineman and Colton Miller at the left tackle position. They have not been able to move anybody off the line of scrimmage. Now, before the acquisitions that they just had, Tom, you would say, well, this could be a game we get right because this Dallas defense has been poor, but we'll see what the additions do. You still got to be able to make them respect the run. Sometimes it's not all about the yards per carry, it's the attempts. You have to make them respect it. That opens up the play-action pass game. And we've seen that Brock Bowers added into this offense has provided a real spark. He's their best offensive weapon. You go back to 2 weeks ago versus Jacksonville Jaguars, he had a really good game. Not so much last week. The Denver Broncos defense had a little bit more to do with that than the Raiders offense, but you have to get Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty going. Those are your two best offensive weapons. You see how bad they've been on the offensive side. 31st. There's only 32 teams in the NFL when you talk about points per game. But get Jeanty going. That takes pressure off Geno. And then the play action, you can get Brock Bowers one-on-one with some linebackers out in space.
Yeah, we see it here on the graphic. They're 31st in the league, averaging 15.4 points per game. But in their two primetime games this year, they're only averaging 8 points per game. And so they're 0-2 in these primetime situations, only averaging 203 yards as a total offense in these primetime situations. But to your point, you got to find a way to get Ashton Jeanty going. You said it. To me, as much as you want to get Ashton Jeanty going, Brock Bowers is the X factor to this offense and the lift that he gives this team. He has two 100-yard receiving games. He had, week 9 against Jacksonville, had all three of his receiving touchdowns on the season against those guys. And it's just his versatility. And Chip Kelly's going to have to really get back to, use your word again, to the inventiveness of his offense, because we thought with a Chip Kelly-led offense that we were going to see some stretching of zones. We thought we were going to see some creativity, and we haven't quite seen that. And so they just got to find ways to get their playmakers the ball.
To that point, I would like to see them come out in a 2 tight end set with Michael Mayer. That way Dallas has to put their linebackers out in space and then attack downfield vertically with Trey Tucker, a guy that seems to be the only receiver that has a rapport with Geno Smith. I think that's how you can open up. You talk about inventiveness. We've seen the Seattle Seahawks do that multiple times, come out in bigger personnel groupings, and that's how you stretch teams vertically, because they want to match up to your personnel. 2 tight ends, oh, you're going to run the football. No, we're going to take shots down the field. I think that's what Chip Kelly needs to do today.
And to your point about the usage of the tight ends, we know the weapons that this Rams offense have, but they come out more than others using 13 personnel, just using the personnel you have to create the mismatches that you need to get points. So this is what they're going to have to dip into the McVay bag and find that for this Chip Kelly-led
offense. Which is what you guys mean, line up with the tight ends, but move them out in space, make them a receiver that changes the look, even though your base personnel, or at least pre-snap personnel, is the same.
And then on the other side of it, Tommy, if you want to come out in base against their 12, you can detach Brock Bowers, and then if you want to go nickel to try to defend Brock Bowers, now you can turn around and hand off the ball. And that's the creativity that you need to be able to use.
So we looked at all of the offensive numbers. None of it's flattering. You talked about the yards per carry for Ashton Jeanty, fewer than 4 yards per rush in 4 straight games and 7 of 9 this season. In terms of just the team itself, Vegas made some changes by going with Geno Smith, bringing in Pete Carroll, who's got the pedigree, the championship. Ryan, I'm going to give you first word in terms of what we thought this Vegas team would be and where they are now, 10 entering 11 weeks into the season. It's got to be a disappointment from an organizational perspective.
Yeah, for sure. But that's, yes, I'll say that it's disappointing for what we expected. But I don't think anyone expected them to challenge
for the expectations,
challenge for the AFC West. Or, at best case scenario, they would be the 6 or 7 seed potentially in the playoffs. But if you go back throughout Pete Carroll's
Cowboys Nation, gather around, because tonight's matchup under the bright lights of Monday Night Football is not just another chapter in this rocky 2025 season. It is the turning point. It is the moment we've been waiting for. It is the night when the Dallas Cowboys step onto the field not as the wounded, inconsistent group we saw earlier this year, but as a rebuilt, re-energized, reloaded team ready to take control of their season. The Cowboys enter this week sitting at 3-5-1, a record that reflects every bump, every setback, every injury, every defensive collapse, and every moment of frustration we've witnessed so far. But records don't tell the whole story. This is a team that has been surviving, not thriving, because they haven't been healthy, they haven't had their full arsenal, and they haven't been able to rely on the defense the way they intended when the season began. But tonight, everything changes. Because Dallas walks into Las Vegas with something they have not had all season: reinforcements everywhere. For the first time all year, the Cowboys will take the field with a defense that feels complete, dangerous, and honestly capable of dominating a football game. Let's start with the biggest storyline of them all: the trade deadline explosion. While the rest of the league played it safe, Dallas went bold. Dallas went aggressive. Dallas went hunting. The Cowboys landed one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, All-Pro Quinnen Williams. This is not a small acquisition. This is a franchise-shifting move. Williams is powerful, disruptive, a pocket collapser who forces quarterbacks off their spot and wrecks game plans from the inside out. For months, opposing teams have been able to double-team him, triple-team him, shift protections toward him because he had no help in New York. Now he lines up next to Kenny Clark, Osa Odigizua, and Donovan Ezeraku. He won't be seeing double teams. He'll be seeing open lanes and one-on-ones for the first time all year. But the Cowboys didn't stop there. They traded for Logan Wilson, one of the smartest, most instinctive linebackers in football. His tackle production, his ability to diagnose plays pre-snap, his skill in coverage, and his leadership make him an immediate game changer at the second level. For a defense that struggled with communication and gap discipline early this season, Wilson brings exactly the kind of stability this group lacked. And then comes the wave, the long-awaited return of three major contributors: DeMarvion Overshown, Siobhan Revel, and Malik Hooker. Overshown is the spark this defense needed. His range is elite. His sideline-to-sideline closing speed is rare. His instinct for blowing up plays before they fully develop is exactly what pushed the Cowboys to draft him in the first place. Revel returns to a cornerback room that desperately needed size and physicality, especially with matchups like Devontae Adams and big-bodied receivers looming. And Malik Hooker, the veteran in the secondary, stabilizes everything. His return means fewer coverage busts, cleaner communication, and better defensive integrity across the board. This is no longer the Cowboys' defense we saw in September or October. This is a unit with teeth, a unit with energy, a unit built to pressure quarterbacks, erase run lanes, and force turnovers. And that leads us into the first bold prediction. Dallas holds the Raiders under 20 points. Yes, I know. They haven't done it once this season. Not against the Packers, not against the Seahawks, not against the Saints. But this Raiders offense has been one of the league's most inconsistent units. They lack identity, they lack rhythm, they struggle on third downs, they struggle in the red zone. Their offensive line has been overwhelmed at times, and their run game has disappeared for stretches of the season. When you combine that with a Cowboys defensive front that is suddenly massive, explosive, and deep, this becomes the perfect environment for Dallas to finally deliver the kind of defensive performance they've been chasing all year. Overshown's speed, Hooker's return, Williams' power, and Wilson's leadership are the formula Dallas has been missing. This is the moment for Dallas to assert themselves, control the line of scrimmage, and dictate the flow of the game defensively. But the second bold prediction is even more exciting. Quinnen Williams records 2 sacks. That's right, 2. And honestly, it's not that crazy. Williams has been stuck fighting double teams all season. His numbers don't reflect his true value. But now, with Dallas likely playing with a lead, the Raiders will be forced to throw the ball. That means predictable passing situations. That means pure pass rush snaps. That means Quinnen Williams pinning his ears back and going to work. And when Williams gets one-on-one matchups, he is nearly impossible to block. If there was ever a setup for a breakout performance, this is the one. And finally, bold prediction number 3. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both go over 100 receiving yards. Cowboys Nation, this offense is rested. It's focused, and Dak Prescott is entering this game with momentum after a strong close before the bye week. The protection should be cleaner, the pocket should be firmer, and the Cowboys' offense should look sharper than they have in months. The Raiders' secondary has been vulnerable all year. They allow separation, they give up deep shots, they struggle with crossers, and they often lose track of receivers in scramble situations. Lamb is one of the best receivers in football at manipulating leverage and exploding out of his breaks. Pickens has become Dak's trusted deep and boundary threat, capable of climbing the ladder and winning on contested catches. If Dallas plays from ahead and forces Vegas into aggressive looks, Dak is going to have openings downfield, and those two receivers are the ones who will benefit most. All three bold predictions, the defense holding Vegas under 20 points, Quinnen Williams recording 2 sacks, and both Lamb and Pickens hitting the century mark, set the stage for what could be the Cowboys' most complete performance of the season. A balanced, disciplined, explosive game where defense and offense finally sync up the way this coaching staff envisioned months ago. Cowboys Nation, this is the night. This is the turning point. This is the moment the Cowboys step onto the field and remind the league that they are still dangerous, still competitive, and still alive in the playoff race. With a rebuilt defense, a rested offense, and the weight of the season pressing down on their shoulders, the Cowboys have the perfect opportunity to deliver a statement performance under the national spotlight. Now, I want your thoughts. Do these bold predictions resonate with you? Do you believe Quinnen Williams breaks out tonight? Do you think Overshown's return changes everything? Do you think Lamb and Pickens can dominate this secondary? Drop your opinions in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to Cowboys Nation Report for full coverage before and after every Cowboys game. Let's ride into Monday Night Football together, and let's go Cowboys!